The new legislative session at the state capitol kicks off today in Oklahoma City. This morning, we've invited political analyst Scott Mitchell to join us to talk about what we can expect from lawmakers this session. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
So let's talk a little bit about the bills that are out there. What are some of the key issues that the legislature will be tackling this go around?
Marijuana. And by the way, you put hashtag marijuana in your tweet, you get a lot of followers on that, Leah. I mean, you know that the medical marijuana system in Oklahoma is broken beyond repair. And so what they're going to start trying to do this session is fix that illegal grows. There are some people who want to make it recreational legal. They have to deal with all that. But I think the leadership has a plan to do something about this, but it's going to be a heavy lift.
Okay, let's talk about COVID, because I know that has really raised a lot of ire on both sides of the issue. What do we anticipate that the lawmakers are going to be tackling, especially like when it comes to mandates that may be already out there in the federal government?
You know, we've got this thing coming up in November, Leanne, called a general election. And I'm going to tell you, the filing is in April. But the Democrats and Republicans are going to be positioning themselves to work on this right now. I mean, an issue about who handled the pandemic best, and that, listen, you know, everybody knows what that's going to be. That's going to be Superintendent Hoffmeister and Governor Stitt. That's going to be the issue. But some of these bills will be putting those issues in front of the public way before the election. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, and we've talked about that with both candidates in terms of politicizing something that's really important to Oklahomans. I mean, getting kids their education that they need, getting teachers to go be able to be in the classroom. And that's what I think is a bit unfortunate when it comes to this. Let's look at the need versus, you know, this side or that side working together. Will we be able to see both sides coming together at all?
Not a chance. You better chance to win the Illinois lottery. It's just not going to happen. And why would you? I mean, we're a deeply divided nation, deeply divided state. How education was handled, how COVID was handled, those are campaign issues. They will not be taken off the table during the legislative session. They'll be fodder for a lot of exploitation in campaign ads, but it's not going to be handled during the session.
Let's talk a little bit about the rainy day fund. I mean, we actually have money this year that's going to be put aside. What's the pros and cons of that?
Well, the pros and cons is that Democrats are going to want to put more money into services right now. Republicans are going to go on to say, let's add more money to the rainy day fund. And some are going to use that issue and say, let's send some of the money back to the taxpayers. You're going to see that on the grocery tax, sales tax debate. So there's going to be a lot of politics around that rainy day fund. Add more, spend more, or give more back to the public. Three options there.
I know you spend a lot of time going over all of this. What is your opinion of the feel at the Capitol? As we start this new legislative session today, what do you think the vibe is there with lawmakers?
Well, there's three sides. There's the Democrat side, the legislative side, and the governor. And it's worst kept secret in town. The legislature and the governor have always not gone along. Democrats kind of on the outside watching it and marveling at this. So the mood is going to be, number one, it's an election year, so everybody is watching out what they have to watch themselves, watch their back. Remember, we file for office, candidates file for office in the middle of the legislative session.
Right.
So politics is going to be the election will be the number one issue at the state capitol. Everything must be viewed through the prism of the election.
As the governor speaks today, what do you anticipate will be included in that discussion?
Election year politics, sound bites with the things that he's done. Here's what we need to do. There's the sorts of issues that are going to have been tested. It's not any secret. Politicians use testing. They use polling. It's going to be carefully orchestrated. It'll be a good speech. And you'll be able to hear about the election if you listen closely between the lines. That'll
be interesting. All right, the governor will be speaking. Of course, the 2022 legislative session kicks off today at noon, with the governor speaking around 12:45. We'll have complete coverage today on our noon news and on our website at newson6.com.